We're online every single day, right? We're sharing all sorts of information, logging into our bank, buying something, just chatting with friends. And we just trust that our private details are going to stay, well, private. But is that trust well placed? How safe is it really? Let's dig in.
Seriously, think about it for a second. When you type in that password and you hit enter, what actually happens next? Where does it go? And who could be watching? It's a huge question, and the answer, funnily enough, all comes down to a single letter. All right, so before we get to the solution, you've got to understand the problem. I want you to imagine the regular unsecured internet as a postal service, but a really weird one that only uses postcards. So over on the left, you've got your standard HTTP. That's our postcard. And just like a real postcard, anybody who gets their hands on it, the mail carrier, someone at the sorting facility, they can just flip it over and read your entire message. There is zero privacy.
And here's the kicker. Look, we're not talking about some harmless note to your grandma here. We are talking about your passwords, your credit card numbers, your private messages, all sent out in the open as plain, readable text for any hacker to just grab. It is absolutely as risky as it sounds.
Okay, so if HTTP is this wide-open postcard just out there for anyone to see, how in the world do we protect ourselves? Well, it's simple. We need a sealed envelope. And that, my friends, is exactly what HTTPS is.
HTTPS is really just the secure version of what we were just talking about. See that S at the end? That stands for secure, and it changes everything. This is all possible because of a security layer. You might hear it called SSL/TLS. Just think of it as the technology that makes the sealed, secure envelope for all your data. That one letter makes all the difference.
But okay, how does it actually work? What's the secret sauce? Well, it's not just one thing. HTTPS actually gives us 3 powerful layers of security. Let's break them down. These are the big 3, the pillars of SSL security. First, you've got encryption. That's for privacy. Then, authentication. That proves who's who. And finally, data integrity. This makes sure nothing gets messed with along the way. Let's dive into each one, starting with that first pillar. All right, first up, encryption. This is the big one. It's basically the art of taking your normal, readable information and scrambling it into a secret code that nobody else can understand. It's really the heart of online privacy.
Okay, so let's say this is what you type into a login form. Password 123. Super simple, easy to read. Now, on an old, unsecured HTTP site, this is exactly what a hacker would see. But on an HTTPS site,
this is what the hacker sees. Total gibberish. Your easy-to-read password is now completely meaningless to them. That right there is the power of encryption. Even if they snatch this data out of the air, it's totally useless.
Okay, so your data is scrambled. That's great, but how do you know you're sending it to the right place? That's where the second layer, authentication, comes into play. HTTPS uses something called a digital certificate. The best way to think about this is like a website's official driver's license or ID card. It proves the site is who it claims to be and not some fake.
and why is this so important? Well, it's designed to stop something called a man-in-the-middle attack. This is a super common trick. A hacker builds a perfect copy of, say, your bank's website. It looks real, it feels real, and they're just hoping you'll log in and give them all your details. Authentication stops that dead in its tracks. It makes sure you're talking to your actual bank.
And last but not least, we've got our third layer, data integrity. This one is all about making sure that the message that gets received is the exact same message that was sent. It's a guarantee against tampering while your data is on its journey.
So here's a perfect example of why that matters. Imagine you're sending $100 to a friend. A hacker in the middle tries to be sneaky and change the destination bank account number to their own. But because of HTTPS, that change is instantly detected. The whole connection gets blocked, the transfer fails, your money is safe.
Okay, so we've talked about encryption, authentication, data integrity, a lot of techie stuff. But what does all of this actually mean for you, when you're just browsing the web day to day?
So, how do you actually know if you're on a secure site? It's super easy. You want to look for two things.
First, that little padlock icon right up there in your browser's address bar. And second, make sure the web address itself starts with HTTPS:. And hey, if your browser ever flashes a big warning at you saying a connection is not secure, you should probably listen to it.
When you really think about it, almost everything important you do online relies on HTTPS. Your banking, your shopping, every password you type, it all depends on this protection. It's become so fundamental, in fact, that the big web browsers now pretty much demand it. They'll even label sites without it as not secure to warn you, which is a huge step in making the whole internet safer for all of us.
So I'll leave you with this one thought. You now know the difference between sending out a digital postcard and a sealed, tamper-proof envelope. So the next time you're online, about to enter a password or your credit card info, are you going to take that extra half second to check for the lock? Because it really could make all the difference.